Yo, what's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new video. Today, I'm super excited to finally be ranking all 7 of the new Photon / Galaxy / Tachyon support cards that were announced just a few weeks ago. Some of these cards are really good, and some of them are, well, let's just say a little bit questionable in terms of playability. And I'm going to be ranking these cards, all 7 of them, from best to worst, and giving my reasons as to why I've ranked them in the way that I did. You guys said you wanted to see a video like this, so I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. Let me know if you want to see more sort of discussion videos like these in the future. Anytime new support cards come out, we can go ahead and do videos like these in this format. And if you guys disagree with my rankings, feel free to let me know why down in the comment section below, or you could just simply refuse to elaborate. Entirely up to you. So without further ado, let's hop into the rankings here. I'm just going to do them in the order that they appear on my screen, and we'll rank them after we go over the effect. And so the first card we're going to be taking a look at is none other than Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Primal. For some reason, I think the word dragon should be in the name somewhere, and it's not, and it throws me off every time, but either way. First, let's take a look at the name. It's a Galaxy card. It's a Galaxy Eyes card. It is also a Tachyon card, which is important for some of the cards we'll be taking a look at later on. It's a dragon, 3k attack, 2500 defense, level 8 light. Perfect for the archetype and the theme in general, but let's take a look at the first of its 3 effects here. The first effect, it says when a dragon exceeds monster declares an attack, attach this card on the field to it as material. So that is a mandatory effect. It is a very weird effect, just because there are really no monsters that have a benefit of gaining a material, at least in the battle phase. If it was Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, if it was treated as that, you know, it would work for things like 62 and C62, get added benefits from having that specific card as material, but it doesn't do that. The only thing I could think is maybe it just helps to make bigger Zeus at the end of the battle phase, just because you get that free material underneath it, what otherwise would just be sent away by Zeus in main phase 2. Not the greatest effect. Then we move on to the other effect, which says you can only use each of the following effects of Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Primal once per turn. If a dragon exceeds monsters on the field, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand to either field. So this effect is kind of nice, I'm not going to lie. It's the fact that it's a sort of quick effect extender if there is a dragon exceeds monster on the field. That is a nice effect. I only wish it were if you controlled like a Galaxy monster or Tachyon, or maybe Galaxy Photon Tachyon. A dragon exceeds is a bit specific, but we do play quite a few of those. Just looking over here at the extra deck, Galaxy Eyes Cypher, Cypher Blade, regular Cypher, full armor, C62, 62, 38, Blast Dragon, and Galaxy Photon Dragon, even something like number 107. Those are all candidates that can be on the field for you just to freely special summon this card. And again, it's a level 8 light Galaxy Eyes monster. So a quick effect extender, I'm not going to lie, that goes pretty crazy. And also the fact that it says for some reason to either field, which doesn't make a whole lot of a sense until we read the last and third and final effect, which says if this card is normal or special summoned, its owner adds 1 Tachyon spell / trap from their deck to the hand. And that is a mandatory effect. It will activate whether or not you can meet that requirement. So if you special summon it to your opponent's field, what does that mean? Well, it means now you can use something like Triple Tactics Talent, or you could also use something like Triple Tactics Thrust, because your opponent technically activated an effect when Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Primal hit their field. That's kind of crazy. It's a really nice piece of synergy. Quick effect extension, getting a 3k body onto the field that can also become material when it wants to, or I guess when a dragon exceeds its declaring attack, it just becomes material. But in the main phase, you can use this as an extender really, really well and get a search. In fact, I didn't even really cover the fact that when it's searching, what it searches adds a Tachyon spell or trap. This means we can finally search Tachyon Transmigration, which might just be one of the most broken counter traps in the game's history, especially when you consider we can fire it from the hand if we have number 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon on the field. Or I think it's any Tachyon monster. I'm just going to go ahead and quickly pull that up real time here just to get... Yeah, if you control a Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, This is not a Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. It's a Galaxy Eyes Tachyon, but you know, you can get to 107. I think 107 is going to see a lot of play to begin with because of these Tachyon cards. But being able to search out Transmigration is insane regardless, especially since we'll probably be able to use it from the hand most of the time, since I think a lot of the end boards that I've been seeing, at least just in theory, will be able to end with 107 or C107. That's right, the big yellow whatever it is, triple-headed dragon. We'll be able to end on that, which means we can fire 107, or sorry, Tachyon Transmigration from the hand, which is kind of insane. So for that reason alone, I'm putting this card in S tier. It's crazy. It's an insane extender. Level 8, light, Galaxy Eyes monster searches out one of the most broken spells or traps in the entire game. It's crazy. It's a crazy card, and for what it's worth, I think it definitely deserves an S tier rank. Now let's take a look at the next card. And that next card is going to be Tachyon Cloud Dragon. Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon's bigger brother. It is a light. It is a level 4 this time around, 300 attack, 250 defense. The first effect says if this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can special summon it. So I know a lot of people made the comparison instantly to Snake Eye Poplar just because of that first effect. I don't think it's nearly as good as Poplar is, especially when you consider the only card that we have that actively searches this card at the moment, which we'll get to later. And, you know, that also was one of the factors that ultimately helped me rank this card. And I think it'll make sense once everything is said and done. But, you know, it's a nice effect. If it's added just to get to special summon it freely, level 4 light could help us get into Blast Dragon. Could help us also get into the Galaxy Photon Dragon as well. It says you contribute this card, special summon one Tachyon monster from your deck or graveyard except Tachyon Cloud Dragon. That's kind of a nice effect. It doesn't have to be like when it's special summon, you can do that. You can just normal summon it, have it on field, tribute it off to grab the Tachyon Primal, right? And I think that's the only other Tachyon monster that we can get out of the deck with this right now. So there's only one target. I don't think there's any other Tachyon monsters to be able to special summon. But that's a neat effect. Again, very similar to Cloud Dragon's effect to bring out Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. This being a lot more generic though. Just summon out one Tachyon monster from your deck or graveyard except itself. So it's a neat effect. It can tag into the Primal Dragon, which then can go ahead and search for a Tachyon spell or trap. And then you just have a free level 8 Galaxy/Galaxy Eyes monster on the board already. So you could argue this is maybe a starter, but it's a very, very weak starter at that, especially if it's got to be a normal summon, especially when we consider the only way we can search this card to not have to normal summon it. And then the last effect, again, very similar to Cloud Dragon. It says, if you special summon a Dragon Xyz monsters, you can target one of them, attach this card to it as material from the graveyard if it was there when the monster was summoned, or hand, even if not. You can only use each effect of Tachyon Cloud Dragon once per turn. And the thing that's interesting about that is Galaxy Eyes Cloud Dragon's effect to attach is a once per duel effect. And that card came out, I think, in World Superstars in 2015, so it's a 9-year-old card. And this is printed in 2024. And the old version says once per duel, but this one doesn't. I guess it's just modern Yu-Gi-Oh card design, being completely unhinged as it is. All things considered, I'm going to go ahead and rank Tachyon Cloud Dragon here in B tier, mainly because it is not a Galaxy card, and we only have one way to search Cloud Dragon right now, and I think that is holding its potential back. I'm sure once the Tachyon pool grows a bit bigger, if we do get more support for this small little archetype they decided to create, it might, again, be a lot better of a card. And that second effect is really strong, though. Getting more access to Tachyon Primal Dragon is definitely always going to be better, even though we have other ways we can get to it through the Galaxy engine. So you can kind of just cut out the middleman for a card that might just not be the best draw in most cases. And then the last effect is also just kind of lackluster, I think. It's not the craziest effect, but it's also not the worst, right? And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, you know, these cards weren't really meant to be true Galaxy/Photon cards, and I know that, but you know, you can kind of see they were trying to support that theme by making these cards. I mean, just look at Primal Dragon as a Galaxy Eyes card as well as being a Tachyon card. I don't see why they couldn't have done that with Tachyon Cloud Dragon here. But, you know, I get it. I know why they did it. They wanted to make this archetype a little bit of a standout. But looking at it through the lens of a Galaxy Eyes player, I do have to rank it in B tier for all those reasons that I mentioned. So that is Tachyon Cloud Dragon. Let's take a look at the next card here, which is actually a spell. This is Tachyon Spiral of Destruction. Now, inherently, a lot of these, I don't know what you really want to call them. They're not necessarily extenders. I guess you could maybe label as extender. I know there's like Photon Stream of Destruction. A lot of cards like these really haven't been the greatest in any of these themes. But this one manages to not be so terrible just because it has a lot of flexibility. So it is a quick play spell first and foremost, which is really, really strong. The first effect says, if you control a Galaxy Xyz monster, destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls whose effects are negated. Yeah, all face-up cards your opponent controls whose effects are negated, which is pretty insane. I mean, you could pair this with 107. 107 negates all face-up monsters on the field, so you could pair this as a quick effect way to just wipe all your opponent's monsters that are face-up with this spell. But that means you are using your Primal Search on this, which maybe there are other better things you could search. But this could also be a good card to grab, perhaps going second for that good removal that it could offer. But if you don't have access to 107, that first effect is kind of going to be lackluster. But that's why it has two other effects, right? So the other effect is target one Tachyon card in your graveyard, except Tachyon Spiral of Annihilation, add it to your hand. And I just want to go ahead and double check here. Yeah, Tachyon Cloud Dragon could be procced off of this effect, because if it's just added to the hand, doesn't matter from where it's added to the hand. You could summon it there, but then you have to get Cloud Dragon to the grave, and you know, doing that might be a little bit easier said than done, but it is a good bit of recursion, especially for Tachyon stuff. Then it says target one dragon number monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. One dragon number monster period is kind of great. I think that's probably the best effect. You can bring back 62, you can bring back C62, 107, 38 are probably going to be some of your best targets. I think 38 probably is like the best target just because it's a Galaxy monster, and it does not need materials to activate its spell negate effect, which is kind of nice. And also the, Tachyon Transmigration is not a once per turn, so if there is a world where you had like a Transmigration hand, you could fire it, use Spiral of Destruction to add it back, and then you now have another Tachyon Transmigration, sort of an Omni Negate that can negate everything before it in the chain, shuffle back into the deck. Being able to do that twice in a turn now, all because of this card, is kind of crazy. But again, it's just it's just such a weird card, right? Ranking this card was a little tough because I thought I was a little harsh by putting it in the C tier, but I don't think I am. I just don't see there really being room for a card like this in most builds. As many of you know, the deck is really, really tight to begin with because we just keep getting a ton of extenders. The deck has a very big engine just because that's the nature of the deck, and it's always been that way. So whether or not this card has room to compete with some of the very small amounts of like non-engine and going second cards that we can play, can this compete with those cards like Droplet, Triple Tactics, Talent, etc., etc.? I don't think so. It just doesn't have enough for me to really want to rank it any higher. It does have a decent set of effects, but it's a very situational card, I think, and maybe could be side decked, maybe is better for a different type of build. It's just hard to say. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and rank it in C tier for those reasons. Let's take a look at the next card. This is a trap card, right? I really like the name. It's Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, so named after the set that 107 came out in. Kind of cool. The artwork's kind of cool. It's got the transmigration sort of starship on it, whatever that is. Normal trap card says if you control a Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon monster, you can activate this card from your hand. So very similar activation requirement to the transmigration, even though that is a counter trap. It says detach one material from your Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster. Its cost, shuffle all monsters your opponent controls that were normal or special summon this turn into the deck. If you control a number C monster, this card activation and effect cannot be negated. That is kind of good, but again, you've got to have a C monster on field. Not the hardest to get into because of a card we'll get to later on. But again, it's just the plague of modern Yu-Gi-Oh deck building. Playing trap cards in the deck really isn't gonna be the move most of the time, especially again in a deck that's already got as little room as it does for non-engine and going second cards and hand traps, right? Is this card really going to be able to take the place of some of those cards, that precious bit of sort of flexible spots we have in the deck? Is it going to be able to compete with those cards? I don't think so. Is it an awful card? No, I don't think so. But it's got a pretty hefty activation requirement. And yeah, during the battle phase, detach one material from your Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster, shuffle all monsters your opponent controls that were normal or special in this turn into the deck. Yeah, I mean, it's a big flashy effect, but I just don't know if it's super worth it. I mean, it does help the deck beat things like Dark Ruler, which is nice, but you could argue that Tachyon Transmigration kind of does the same thing. Maybe a side deck card against certain decks where Transmigration's not as good, and having sort of that mass reset of the opponent's field is maybe a little bit better. You know, not being able to be negated if you have a C monster on field is, you know, actually a little bit better now that I think about it, just because C62 is so much easier to make than like C107. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and rank it in C tier with Spiral of Destruction, because I don't think it's that crazy. It's a really flashy card on the surface, but I think overall it's really not the most insane card. I don't think it deserves to go any lower. Honestly, I think I would probably rank it a little bit higher than Spiral, like a high C, and put the other one in like a low C. But yeah, so let's take a look at the next card, which is actually neither a Tachyon, Galaxy, or Photon card. And that next card is none other than Schwarzschild Infinity Dragon. This is a level 8 Dark Dragon with 2000 attack and 0 defense. And like I said earlier, this is neither a Galaxy, Tachyon, or Photon monster. But it's still really good. Don't let that name fool you, because when we take a look at the effect, it says this: if you control no monsters, or your opponent controls a monster with 2000 or more attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, special summon one level 8 light or dark dragon monster from your deck in defense position except itself, but negate its effect. So this basically just screams summon out the Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon from the deck, and lends us to a lot of possibilities, especially with the rank 8 we're going to be taking a look at later. If we read a little bit further, it says you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except Dragon Xyz monsters, and that is the turn you activate it, right? So you're probably thinking what I'm thinking already. It means that you cannot summon Galaxy Eyes Soulflare Dragon the turn you use it. You cannot summon number 90, and you cannot summon things like Felgrand or Zeus, and I think those are the only other cards that would fall into that category. Yeah, you can only summon Dragon Xyz monsters. Now, that might sound like a bad thing, especially not being able to make the number 90. One of the best ways we have to beat Nib is kind of tough, but combos that I have seen with this card do allow us to make Galaxy Photon Dragon with Eternal Galaxy set up, allowing us to rank into number 90 on the opponent's turn to get that crucial piece of interaction and follow-up as well onto the board when we really, really need it. I mean, that effect is so powerful. It just sucks that it has that really, really strong lock on it. But I mean, to be fair, if it didn't, this would just be another crazy, insane Dragon Link card. And God knows we do not need any more of those. But yeah, I'm going to rank this card as an S tier card. It is a 1-card starter that fits perfectly with the Photon Galaxy theme. It just sucks that it is not a, you know, Photon Galaxy or Tachyon card. And for that reason, I'm going to rank it just below, maybe a little bit below the not Divine Dragon. We'll get to that card later, but the Tachyon Primal, right? The Galaxy has Tachyon Primal. I'm going to rank that just below this that card, just because of its namesake. Now, the next card we have here is Galaxy War Drake, a Galaxy monster, straight up, no strings attached. This is a dragon, light, level 4, 1500 attack, and 1000 defense. It says, if a level 4 light monster or monsters is special summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. So fantastic extender. It just sucks that it's niche, you know, needs to be a level 4 light. It would be so nice to see if the set, like, if a Galaxy monster is special summoned to your field, or a level 4 or 8 light monster is special summoned to your field. Level 4, while it's not, like, the most unlikely thing, right, it's maybe less than half the deck, at least monsters that we're going to be special summoning to the field. I mean, we have Orbital, we have things like Wizard and Summoner, but these cards typically are normal summoned or aren't summoned at all, right? Especially for Orbital's case, usually just getting equipped. So I would like to see maybe a little bit more flexibility on that, but it's still a great effect overall, right? And the fact that it can summon from hand or grave is also really, really nice. But again, we can proc it with things like Thrasher, Advancer, Vanisher. If we bring a level 4 back off of Summoner, right, that can do it as well. And you also have the Galaxy Brave. If you reveal a level 4, that can proc the War Drake. And because it says monsters plural, if you use the Galaxy Trance to bring out 2 level 4s, that will also proc War Drake. But again, there's also a ton of other cards in the deck that this won't be able to proc. I guess we could also include the Tachyon Cloud Dragon. That is a level 4 light. Kind of forgot about, but that could also proc this effect. Yeah. Again, it's a great extender, but I think just keeping it out of being a little bit better is the fact that it's got to be just level 4 light. Then it says you can target one other level 4 light monster you control. The levels of both that monster and this card become 8 until the end of this turn. So that effect is nice. It's kind of like the opposite of Galaxy Summoner, whereas Galaxy Summoner can target any light monster. This has to target specifically a level 4 light. But being able to go from 4 to 8 is crazy, especially since that means we can get access to number 90. To protect our plays is really strong. But it also says you can only use each effect once per turn, and you cannot special summon the turn you activate either effect except light monster. So there's another restriction on this card, which you really hate to see, but it is what it is, right? It could be worse. And the other thing that sucks is that we now have, I think, what are arguably some of the best cards in this entire list that now conflict with each other, right? Schwarzschild is a dark monster, and this card locks us into lights the turn we use it, not, you know, for the rest of the turn. It'd be so much nicer if it said that, but it's the turn we use it. For some reason, they really like giving us cards in this deck that lock us for the turn. Trance was one of them. War Drake is another, and so is Schwarzschild, but it is what it is. I think I'm going to have to put this card in A tier. I think there's just a few little niche things that keep it from really being S tier. Although originally I did have it in S tier. I don't know. This is, I think, one of the tougher cards to rank. Let me know what you guys think. But right now, I think I'm just going to stick with my decision to keep it in A tier. It is a fantastic card by every means. But again, it just could be a little bit better at the end of the day. And next up, we have the last card on this list. The only extra deck monster we have is Dragluxion. I think it was called like Divine Gold Dragon Dragluxion. But on here it's just Dragluxion. I think it's fine if they just keep it this short name. That'd be a lot better. Also, again, this is not a Photon Galaxy or a Tachyon monster, interestingly enough. It is a light, rank 8, 2500 attack, 3k defense, same stats as number 90. It is a dragon, so keep that in mind for that, you know, Dragon Exceeds lock that Schwarzschild gives us. It's also a part of that one card combo with Schwarzschild. It says if this card is special from the extra deck, you can add a Galaxy or Tachyon card. So there is that effect that makes it so, right? You can grab Galaxy or cards, kind of linking it to the archetype. I don't know why they didn't just make it a Galaxy card to begin with, since all these effects are really centered around Galaxy monsters. Yeah, add a Galaxy or Tachyon card from your deck to your hand. That's insane. It's basically Galaxy Wizard or the, well, I want to say Spiral Dragon, but better since you can grab any Tachyon cards. And like I said earlier, there's only one card that can search Cloud Dragon, and this is it. So you could technically go Schwarzschild into this and then grab Cloud Dragon, spec Cloud Dragon, and tribute to spec out like the Spiral Dragon, and then search a Spell or Trap from there. But I don't know what world you're searching Cloud Dragon when like Spiral Dragon is probably just way better to grab. Any Galaxy, you could grab like Expedition especially since you're going to be grabbing the Afterglow off of the Schwarzschild, right? So that's just another reason why Cloud Dragon is a worse off card than I think some people might give it credit to be. But yeah, that's one of the reasons, right? It was just because of this card right here. It says you can attach 2 materials in this card. Special summon 1 rank 8 Dragon Ixies monster with 3000 attack from your extra deck. By using this card you control as material, you can then attach 1 Galaxy monster from your extra deck to it as material as well. This is treated as an Ixie summon. Transfer this card's material to the summon monster. So basically what this means is you can go Schwarzschild, summon out Afterglow, overlay into this Search Expedition effect, attach both Schwarzschild and Afterglow, and go ahead and summon out 107 or C107 and attach 107 to it. Afterglow effect, summon out Galaxy Eyes, and then Expedition, summon out the Soldier. Soldier grabs Summoner. Go from there, right? You can kind of just imagine where that combo could go. This card really is a big centerpiece, and all of that. It's just weird that it's not a Galaxy or Photon card or a Tachyon card, right? Because it has so much to do with Galaxy and Tachyon stuff in the effect, but nothing in the name. This is weird. I'm putting this card in S tier. It's crazy. It sets up so much. It also would just freely make 107 very early on. So if you did have something like Transmigration in hand, it could be live just to combat hand traps, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, that is going to be it for this tier list video. Hopefully I didn't mess anything up too bad. I haven't really tested any of these cards. It's just mainly theory and my experience as a Galaxy player helping me to rank these cards where they are. So just to recap, we have in S tier, we have Divine Dragon Dragoxion or just Dragoxion. We have Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Primal, and we have Infinite Dragon Schwarzschild. In A tier, we have Galaxy Wardrake. In B tier, we have Tachyon Cloud Dragon, and in C tier, we have Tachyon Spiral of Annihilation and Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. Nothing in D or F tier, which is good to see. We didn't want any like unprint-worthy cards for this archetype. Everything we got is definitely at least considerable, playable, and just outright insane. So all in the realm of playable, right? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, Winter Kill signing out. I'll see you guys in the next one. And last but not least, a big shout out goes to our current Divine level channel members who are Pony Stark, Green, Misfit, HH Cyber, Robin's Assistant, Muffin King 313, and Cadillacs. Thank you guys so much as always for extremely kind and very generous support of the channel.